of the neatest parts of doing this show is the great people you meet along the way, and also great people who are suggested to you. And I have a gentleman for you whom I consider to be a baseball lost treasure, a sports lost treasure, a lost treasure to begin with. And this is Ransom Jackson, former college football player, major leaguer, teammate of some of the greatest players that ever played baseball in the Brooklyn Dodgers, and just a wonderful gentleman in the time which I've spoken to him, which hasn't been long, and I'm going to meet him just like you are. Ransom, how are you tonight? It's Tony De Angelo here.
Doing fine, Tony. We got spring weather down here in Georgia, so I like that kind of weather. The cold weather gets to my bones, so... You know, when you get to be 150 years old, you know, the cold weather hits you pretty hard.
It's God bless you. I'm reading over your background, and I don't know where to begin. And I'm going to begin at the beginning. Were you an athlete as a schoolboy?
No, I grew up in the Depression. And when I went to high school, we did not have football, we did not have baseball, we didn't have anything like that because, you know, nobody had any money back then. So we just, you know, found a field and played. And so we played anything we could. As long as we could get two or three guys, we'd have some kind of game going. If we had 50 guys, we'd have a game with 50 guys. So we just made up games and found places to play, and that was our recreation back in those days. Even though I grew up in a pretty large-sized city of Little Rock, Arkansas, you know, there were 100,000 in Little Rock and 100,000 in North Little Rock, and you know, but there was no money to have Little League or anything like that. So we just had to find. We just had to make do.
Now, I understand. Now, what was your first, shall we say, endeavor into any kind of organized athletics?
Well, I was, when it came my time, and for Uncle Sam, you know, raised his hand, and I raised my hand, and so I went into the Navy Officers Training Program, and they sent me to TCU. At the midshipman school, and there at midshipman school, you take all these Navy courses and calculus, physics, all this kind of stuff, and you go to school all day long, and you study up into the middle of the night. And if you flunk one course, you're gone out to the South Pacific. Everybody tries to pass everything, and one day I walked down to the football field and just to watch the guys play, and so, you know, I played flag football was all I'd played, you know, where you have a flag in your back pocket that you don't tackle or anything. And so I was just watching the guys, and the coach came up to me. His name was Dutch Meyer, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And he said, why don't you come on out for football? I said, Coach, you know, I got all this stuff that I've got to study all the time, and I don't want to flunk out. And he said, well, come on out. And I said, well, okay. So I went out the next day, and he said, what are you? What do you play? And I said, Coach, I don't know. I've never played. He said, you never played football? I said, I played flag football, but that's about it. And so he said, okay. So, you know, I was big. I was really big. I was 6'1" and weighed 165 pounds. You know, I was a monster. And so he put me over with he didn't have many on the team, and he put me over with the linemen, you know, and so we were hitting heads, and I looked over and I saw the backfield guys were just passing the ball around. I walked up to Coach Meyer afterwards. I said, Coach, I'm not a lineman. I'm a backfield guy. And he said, okay, I could kick the ball pretty good. So he made me let me be a backfield guy, and I ended up playing. I averaged about 40 minutes a game because we only had about 18 or 19 and 20 guys that could play.
Play a whole football game, yeah.
Yeah, and we won the Southwest Conference. with just that few guys. I went to the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Day. It was just amazing. And then, I stayed there a year and a half. They closed the midshipman school, sent us to Texas, University of Texas. And so the coach down there, his name was Dana X. Bible, and he's also in the Hall of Fame. And he called me in there when I got there. And he said, Jackson, I saw you played against us, and I need you. And I said, to come out. I said, Coach, I don't have but a few more months here in the Navy, and then they're going to send me out or do something with me. And he said, oh, come on out, we need you. We got a new quarterback coming in by the name of Bobby Lane. I never heard of Bobby Lane.
Yeah, who's that?
I said, well, okay. So I went out, and we won the Southwest Conference again and played in the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Day. So that's the only, I know I'm the only man in history who's played in 2 straight Cotton Bowls of different teams on New Year's Day. So I got to play with Bobby Lane.
Now,
that was quite an experience there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, he's such a legend and such a character. What were your experiences with him?
Well, we got along fine. I mean, he could his football, when he threw it to you, was like somebody throwing a pillow to you. You couldn't. There was no way in the world you could drop it. So he was a great passer. He'd pass 15, 20, 25 times a game at the least. And and I played again. I played 25, 30 minutes of every game down there. And and then we played baseball together down there. He was a great pitcher. His record down there was like 26 and 0.
I didn't know that.
He wasn't too bad a pitcher.
And he went one way and you went another into professional baseball.
Yeah. He probably made more money than me too.
Now, how'd you get involved in pro ball?
Well, all these things that I've done, I just kind of bump into them. I got out of the Navy and I went back to school. I think I had one more quarter to finish in school. I went back and finished that and played a little semi-pro ball down in a little town just outside of Houston. We had 6 or 8 guys who were everybody had made all conference, and so we had a great team. We didn't lose a game all summer. And then a scout comes up to me, only scout I ever met in my life, and he says, what are your plans? I said, gosh, I don't know. I've already graduated. I don't have any idea what I'm going to do. And he said, would you like to play pro ball? And I said, I don't know. So he said, well, we'll fly you up to Chicago and you can try out. And so they flew me out, Dad and I, up to Chicago and tried out in Wrigley Field. And they called me in there and they said, we like what we see, Jackson. So what we're going to do is offer you a 2-year major league contract, which means you'll be on the major league roster of 40 guys. And we're going to pay you, we're going to give you a 2-year contract. We're going to pay you $6,000 a year. And I said, I'll take it. Where do I sign? Somebody's going to pay me money to play baseball? Good gosh, how could you turn it down? I never thought about the money, but back then, of course, I don't know what 6,000 was back compared to today, but it was
it's good money. Yeah. And you were in the Chicago organization, and you made your way over to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I got a call when I played about 6 years with the Cubs. Mm-hmm. Loved it. I played it all day games.
Games.
To me, it was a lot better to play in the daytime, and I was doing well. I made a couple of All-Star games, and I'd been up there about 4 years. And Ernie Banks came up to play alongside of me, and I saw how great he was going to be. And I walked over to Ernie. I was playing third base. Ernie was playing shortstop. And I said, well, Ernie, here's the way it's going to be. I've been here a while, so I have a lot of seniority. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to play right on the third base line, and I'll take all the balls that come right down the line. You take everything else. He said, yes, sir. No. knew I was joking. But we had a great time, and what a great player he was. But anyway, I spent the winter in Chicago, which was a mistake in the first place.
Yeah.
And gosh, it snowed and cold. Got a call, phone rang one night, and one friend of mine who was a sports writer, he said, we talked a while, he said, guess what? I said, what? He said, you just been traded. I said, there's no way I've been traded because I just finished playing 2 straight years on the All-Star team, and they love me here in Chicago. And he said, no, you've been traded. I said, well, to who? And he said, well, guess. I said, don't do that to me. He said, no, guess. So I started out low, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. He said, well, you've been traded to the Brooklyn Dodgers. And I said, you're out of your gourd. And he said, no. I said, they had just won the World Series. And, ball players, they have kind of an ambition. They should have one. They want to play an All-Star game. They want to play the World Series. And so I knew I wasn't going to play the World Series with Chicago. So it was my chance to play in the World Series. So I said, man, that's great. He said, they traded you over to for 3 guys. Jackie Robinson is going to retire the following year, and you're supposed to take his place. And I said, good gosh, what a lucky thing. I played against all these guys. What do you think about a team like Robinson, Reese, Steiner, Hodges, Campanella, Newcomb, Erskine, all those guys? When I used to feel like when I walked into Evans Field, before the game started, we were 1 run behind. Just because they had that much better team than we did. But to get traded over there, gosh, what I was so excited. And and I end up, of course, there was supposed to be a fight between Jackie and I to see who would be playing that year. And Walter Austin called me in the day before the season started. He says, Jackson, I'm going to start Jackie because he's been here so long. And I said, I don't blame you. I mean, he's a tradition. You should. And so Jackie started the first part of the season, and he played about a little over a month, and he didn't do very well. So Austin came to me and said, you're in there. And so I started playing, and I was hitting cleanup for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and I was just in hog heaven. And when we were winning, and I was having a good year, and I was just really tearing the ball up. And at the break, All-Star break, I turned the knob off. I was renting a house in Brooklyn, and I turned the porcelain knob off the shower, and it broke off in my hand and cut that down to the bone of my thumb. So that put me out for pretty much the rest of the year. I did play some more at the end of the season, but Robinson came back and did great, and we went on and played in the World Series. A guy named Don Larsen pitched a perfect game against us.
Yeah.
I got to see that little dandy. And anyway, then we went over to Japan and played for a month after the season.
Now, during Larsen's perfect game, were you on the bench that day?
Yeah, I was.
Now, what was the reaction of the...
I was probably the second bench hitter, if anybody got on. But we had Dale Mitchell was the guy who was the left-hander, I was the right-hander. But I've been in three no-hitters. I've been on the bench for 1. But to sit there and just realize it, I mean, the other no-hit games I ran, they weren't perfect games. But this was a perfect game by a pitcher who was pretty good, but not that good. And so we just could not believe it. They were 27 up and 27 down.
Now, what was the reaction of the other players as this was going on? I don't believe it. We're hitting into bad luck. All of that.
Well, as I said, I guess it's just hard to believe. If you had Warren Spahn or somebody like that up there throwing or Robin Roberts throwing a perfect game, you say, well, mean, I understand that, but you got a guy who
journeyman pitcher
might win 7 games.
Yeah.
Over the course of a season, and he was just getting everybody out. There was a few balls that were hit hard. I know if I could have gotten up, I'd have probably ruined it. But that's just that's yeah, I'm just making that up.
No, I understand, but you often wonder. Now, as a man raised in the South, playing with Jackie Robinson, was the racial awkwardness at that time pretty much by you? Were there still moments of, gee, we're trying to get used to this? I mean, because we live today in such a mixed society as opposed to what was happening years ago. And what were your impressions? I mean,
Well, Jackie came up, he started in 46, I believe it was, or 47. I didn't come up to the majors till 1950. So he had a 3 or 4 year head start on me, and I played in the minors for 3 years, and then a little bit in the majors. And there weren't any blacks on my team. I played against some blacks in the minor leagues, but not very many. And then I'd come up there to the majors, and there really wasn't many then in 1950. But going over to the Dodgers, of course, all the sports writers want to know. They would see you every day. How you doing? You know, how you and Jackie getting along? And I told them, we'll get along fine. We're buddies. So you know, but they didn't have anything to write about. But it was by that time, by the early 50s, this had kind of gone down a little bit, all the anger. Well, I'm sure Jackie carried some anger with him as long as he lived, but
Sure.
it had moderated down in the early 50s where it wasn't going on. I didn't see any of it. And to me, you know, people are people.
Mm-hmm.
All players are ball players are ball player. So we had you know, everything was fine.
Now,
Sports writers didn't want it that way. They wanted,
sure, controversy.
yeah, they wanted me to say, God, you know, I hate the guy, you know. But it didn't work out that way.
Now, I am part of a very devoted group that believes your first baseman on the Dodgers should be in the Hall of Fame.
I do too.
And
I didn't put my name on the list.
I will, sir, with pleasure. But what were your impressions of Gil? Obviously, you played with him, and you were with him.
Well, I love Gil because he could catch everything I threw over there. What a great guy and a great first baseman. I've never seen, and I played against Musial. I played against first basemen from all over the place. They were great first basemen, and I think that Hodges was as good or better than anyone I've ever seen.
Was he accused of having a quick foot on the bag?
Well, he was accused of that all first baseman. They don't want to get stepped on.
Yeah.
But Gil, of course, he had great years. He was a good hitter. He was a great person. And I can't see any reason. And he was not a guy to argue with anybody. So, but I don't know who kept him out. I'm sure there's some sports writers who kept him out for some reason. I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's just a shame he didn't get in.
No, me neither. I mean, my most vivid recollections of him is when he was managing the New York Mets.
Uh-huh.
And just a fine manager, just a commanding presence on the field.
Yeah. But, I've played with all these great players over the years, and about 95% of them are no longer around.
Yeah.
And so, on the book I wrote, that's one of the reasons I wrote it, because I know all these stories, and there's nobody to tell them but me.
We've well, I'll tell you, I'm especially blessed because I've spoken to you. I've spoken to Carl Erskine, whom I love. He's just a
great guy.
Yeah, marvelous gentleman, and has the how could I put it? He has that sense of history of warming up in the bullpen when Ralph Branca was called in to pitch to Bobby Thompson, and the story that he tells about that is pretty amazing. You know,
well, Carl's he's a Southern gentleman, is what he is.
Yeah.
He's based south, Southern Indiana. But what a great guy, a great pitcher. I mean, I think I got quite a few hits off with Carl, but he was a good hitter, a good hitter too, besides being a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
But I played against all these great guys, and it's just, I just didn't really realize at the time. I was just going along for the big money. Most I ever made in the big leagues after 10 years was $21,000. And I figured the other day, if I added up all my money that I made in the big leagues in 10 years and put it in a pot, there were guys in the big leagues today that make that much in one game.
It's where have we gone? It's absolutely amazing.
All I can do is be jealous.
Well, but you've had the privilege of playing with people that they'll never come near playing. So, and I am blessed to speak with you now. How did your career end?
Well, I'd had 10 years, and most all the Dodgers were beginning to, all the guys were getting older. Snyder was getting older. Perillo, Pee Wee, they were all getting old. They'd had their good years, and so they were starting to get new people in. And of course, I was at that time. I think I was 32 or 33, and so I was considered old too. So they began looking for somebody to play third base too. So they got rid of me and sent me to Cleveland for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But just the writing on the wall. I never even thought about being a manager or anything.
I was going to ask you. Yeah, you never thought about any administrative work or coaching or
No,
managing?
never entered my mind. But I just walked in after 10 years, and last day of the season, I walked into the office of the Cubs, and I told them, I said, I won't be back next year. And they didn't cry. They didn't say good luck or anything. They just said, I just told them. And they said, well, see you around. And so that's just the way it ended. And,
yeah, it was a...
I went out in the real world.
Now, where'd you spend your life working?
Well, I went into the life insurance business the first year I got out, and I happened to get with a company, a really great company. It had just been formed. It was brand new, and it turned out to be the best thing I've ever done. And so I stayed in that line, that profession for 35 or 40 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then quit it, and I had enough. I played a lot of years in baseball and a lot of years in insurance business, and it was time to,
Have some fun.
leg off now.
Yeah.
And I did.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Jackson, in our closing moments together, any one regret you have in the major leagues that you wish something could have happened one way and didn't, or would you have no regret, for your fine career and the people you were with?
Well, I found out some things I'd done after I got out many, many years later that I didn't know I did. I didn't know I hit the last home run through the Brooklyn Dodgers. I didn't know I was first recorded intentional walk in the major leagues. These things I didn't even realize.
But you had done.
I was the only guy that ever played 2 straight Cotton Bowl games with different teams. I didn't know I'd done all these things until, some of them still start writing the book. But as far as, when you start writing the book, it brings all these things back.
Sure.
And you realize, gosh, I didn't even know I did those things.
Now, in our last closing moments together, tell our friends and fans about your book.
Well, the book is as I said, all the guys that I play with are no longer around. So all these stories that I know, it only they and me, I don't know if that's the right English. No, it's called Ransom Jackson. The big leaguer, the accidental big leaguer, and all it is stories. And I wanted to preserve these stories because if I'm gone, they're all gone too.
I understand.
So that's why it's just full of baseball, football, golf stories. And so it took me about a year and a half to write the thing.
Well, I'm glad I'm here to help you to further preserve your fine legacy. Mr. Jackson, it's been an honor and a pleasure. We're going to get back with you soon. I so do appreciate having you on tonight, sir.
Well, I've enjoyed talking to you. It's been a pleasure.
It's
I've had a lot of fun.
An even greater one for me. You take care, and best to Terry, your wife.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Appreciate it.
Bye now.
Bye.
What can I say? Living history here on Tony De Angelo's Coast to Coast. We're going to be coming right back with something. I got to look at the program. I forgot.